Well, we're joined now by the Director of the North Central Zone and Officer in charge of operations at NEMA, Bashir Garga. Good to see you and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Not too good a story we're dealing with at the moment, and we've seen some of your colleagues there working non-stop to ensure that rescue can still be done. Help us make sense of what we're dealing with at the moment. You've seen it about over dozens of houses, you know, destroyed and people under the rubble.
Honestly speaking, it's sickening when you look at it. And this largely, let me reiterate the call by my principal, that there is the need for regulatory bodies to do more. Because there are laws, both municipal and national, in regulating handling and management of explosive, landmines and others. If you look at it, the military being a regimented organization, theirs is not as dangerous as this. But if you look at the people who are presumed to have kept these things, in an ideal situation, they are supposed to obtain licenses. All right? You keep these things under a particular temperature. You keep them in magazines depending on the sizes, and you avoid completely beehive of activities within the given area these things are stored. So somebody has not done his work.
Right. So heads should already be rolling now. Well, you were at that site. Based on what we've seen so far, definitely a disaster situation, no doubt. I mean, when you hear over 58 houses destroyed, help us understand your assessment of, you know, what the gravity of what's happened there. And based on, you know, eyewitness reports, they were like, look, emergency was very slow in coming. It took over an hour, you know, for emergency responders to get to the scene. What exactly are the challenges?
You see, when you look at emergency scenes, this feature has become a recurring decimal where you have quacks, untrained persons going about willing to assist. And some are there for some ulterior motives, to loot, probably. And if you look at it, there is no way you can control such a crowd. Up till yesterday that the governor was even there with army of personal aides and security aides, the place was still chaotic. So Nigerians are supposed to learn this. Based on global practices where there are disaster scenes, a cordon tape is there. You are supposed to respect it. Non-trained personnel should not be there. And definitely people will look at the response being late. When you look at it, the way and manner people jam-packed and blocked the way of responders. It's a very terrible scenario.
Was that the reason for the seeming tardiness on the part of emergency responders like NEMA getting there? Or is it a question of lack of capacity?
No, we have the capacity.
Lack of preparedness for situations like this?
No, NEMA is well equipped to address issues like this. If you look at it, based on international and global best practices, an EOC was established with an operations section chief, with a logistics section chief, and an information management bureau was there. And in fact, the deputy governor was seated there to make sure resources are made available to responders.
So in other words, it comes back to us as a people. We're still, because these are some of the basics. Sometimes someone is involved in an accident, you are advised not to move, touch the person until those trained to do so come, but we still don't have that. So how can we best help NEMA to understand that in as much as we are a communal people, all trying to help, not even steal, using bare hands to, you know, take away the rubble.
Yeah.
How can we start letting them understand that we have an agency that is well equipped to do the job and get out of the way?
You see, part of our mandate as an agency is to, on continuous basis, educate the public, sensitize, and keep them abreast of what we do. We do it at the strategic level. Then you have complementing agencies at the state levels who are supposed to be carrying out a kind of replicating mandate of the agency at the state level. Unexpectedly, with all things being fine, at the local level you are supposed to have local emergency committees. The agency from quite a very long time has been training volunteers. So it is expected to cascade. But when you look at it, not everybody has the passion for disaster management, because it's something that it doesn't knock on your door.
Right.
Nigerians are expected to key into what NEMA is doing and be informed.
Is the NOA helping here? Because it looks like there's a depth of such sensitization you spoke about.
You see, NEMA has very critical stakeholders. You have them from line ministries and agencies. You have them from faith-based organizations, community-based organizations. And like I told you before, it has cascaded down to the third tier of government. So it all depends on these tiers of government and these line ministries to key into what we do.
So, going forward, I mean, first off, you've said, look, the people have a role to play. At the different levels of governance, there's also the role to play. When such incidents happen, we've not had too many, but come to think of it, gas explosions, we hear of them every now and again. Recall the Ikeja cantonment explosion, where unfortunately many Nigerians died for the simple reason that they did not know exactly which direction, to look for safety. Does NEMA have any kind of post-incident engagement with different stakeholders in a way that they can better be prepared or be better prepared for future occurrences? Because there's no saying that this will not happen again.
As an agency, we collaborate with a lot of MDAs, a lot of governments at the state and local government levels. And if you look at it, the military is a critical stakeholder in this business. The Nigerian police, the civil defense, the Society of Engineers. We collaborate with them in matters of building collapses and so many other thematic areas that has to do with management of disasters and get them prepared. What about
mining organizations, for example?
Mining organizations.
These miners who've been tagged illegal miners, some of them actually claim that they've been around, they've been in the country for, as far back as over a decade ago. As a matter of fact, I read a piece where a gentleman said he's been in Nigeria for over 30 years and that they've, duly licensed and what have you. Does NEMA have any kind of engagement with organizations that are licensed to carry, explosive devices?
You see, explosive devices have the potential to cause harm. If you look at what happened in Bodija, Ibadan, a crater-like ditch shows you the magnitude and quantum of destruction this thing has the capacity to unleash. When you look at it this way, you're talking of ministries. For example, you have Ministry of Mines and Power. We are supposed to collaborate with them.
So you're not doing that now, President?
We are. Okay. We are collaborating with them. And when you look at it further, this issue of illegal miners, some of them are said to be of foreign descent. There is interconnectivity of some institutions. For example, you have the Nigerian Immigration Service that monitors entry and exits of aliens, responsible for giving them visas, having addresses of where they stay, what are they involved in. If perhaps the Nigerian Immigration Service is informed of the kind of business they do and it involves explosives, definitely another organization of government is supposed to work in tandem with the Nigerian Immigration Service.
Quickly, before you go, is it okay for the country to start talking about having muster points around residential areas?
Great. Like I said before, it's very, very important to have muster points around residential areas. But for explosives like this, hazardous waste materials, for fear of spill and unintended or unplanned detonation, they are supposed to be kept away
from residential
areas.
Okay, I guess we'll have to leave it there. President Tinubu has directed NEMA to provide relief for, the victims, and I wonder if NEMA, what kind of relief NEMA will be providing them?
No, you see, we are a very trained organization. My principal said yesterday we're going to conduct on-the-spot assessment. If you look at it, there are several stages in assisting people that are in distress. First, relief, you rehabilitate them, and then you do a kind of recovery aspect of this. So we are now working assiduously with other stakeholders to get a first-hand information on what their needs are.
Okay, well, that's a good place to leave it. Bashir Garga is Director, North Central Zone Operations of National Emergency Management Agency. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.